Sometimes I think it would be nice to retire. My grandchildren are always asking me, when am I going to stop going abroad? But every time I think about it, I just think, I couldn't face it if there wasn't another mission to go on. I've been to Turkmenistan, Guinea, South Sudan. I've been to the Congo twice, India, Sierra Leone, Liberia 3 times. I've been to Greece, Haiti, and I'm sure there's some more missions as well, but I've forgotten them now. So WATSAN stands for water and sanitation, and what you emphasize, whether it's water or sanitation, depends on the mission. So it can be sanitation, so that's infection control, which came into the fore, especially in Ebola, or it could be water, which is something in South Sudan that we had to try and find water and provide it. So it's distribution, purity, cleanliness, and making sure there's the right amount both for the clinics and the hospitals and for the refugees themselves. On a typical MSF mission, I might be organising staff to dig latrines and deciding where they're going to be and make sure they're kept clean, organising waste management of medical waste, and making sure there's water points in a refugee camp so that there's plenty of water and it's accessible for people to collect. Like most roles in MSF, you just have to find inspiration. You've got to use your ingenuity to make things happen because there's no alternative. You've got to sort the situation out. I'd always wanted to work in the humanitarian field, but I had a child when I was very young, so I waited till he'd left home, and that's when I decided I would actually take up this option and see if I could get employed in humanitarian work. I started actually as a logistician, which is also a great job, but there was something about the work that the WATSANs did when I was in the field and I watched them working, which really attracted me. So I retrained with MSF as an emergency WATSAN, and this is what I've been doing now for the last, I think it's 13 years. Before that, I was a teacher, I was an outdoor education instructor, and I also ran my own business for 8 years. Surprisingly, all the jobs I've done in the past have been very helpful for my work with MSF. So I've been a teacher, and that's been great in helping me train my staff. In the outdoor education side, it's been very useful to be a practical person who's used to living in tents and used to finding solutions and living not always in hotels, not always in the easiest circumstances. And being a businesswoman has helped in organising the accounts and keeping the books. Oh, the worst thing about my job is sometimes also the best thing. It can be very challenging. Ebola was a very rewarding mission. You actually felt you really were doing some good there. But of course, it was very difficult dealing with that amount of death. And especially as the WATSAN role was to dispose of the dead bodies with as much dignity as possible. On other missions, for example, in South Sudan, I was there in the dry season, and it was 50 degrees in the shade, which for a Yorkshire lass was very difficult. But you learnt to sort of pace yourself differently and learn to cope with it, partly by getting up very early in the morning and not working during the hottest part of the day. I think that the best thing on a mission is the actual contact with the local people. I get to know them very well because I work quite closely with my national staff, and it's learning about their lives, about their culture, about the ways they live. Quite often you're invited to people's houses to join them for meals. So that aspect I think I find the most enjoyable. The other is I'm an inveterate traveller. I love travelling. So this takes me to all sorts of places in the world where otherwise I couldn't go. I would definitely recommend working with MSF. It will open your eyes to many things. You will see things that you were never expected to see in your life, and it will change you. When you set out on your first mission, it's very exciting and very daunting, and when you get there, it can be slightly overwhelming. Keep working and you will find your solutions, and you will find it very rewarding.